Number one, 8% wage increase across the board to be paid on the 13th of December 2019, and 50% of the back pay to be paid with the increase on the 13th of December 2019. The remainder of the back pay will be paid on the 27th of January 2020. Number two, we are demanding the insourcing of all services which are outsourced and which SAA has the capacity to fulfill. For example, security, cleaning, IT, ground handling and logistics. We reject the offer by SAA management of the creation of a task team to deal with insourcing and the terms of reference. We do not have the luxury of time, and this needs urgent, immediate action. These inflated contracts are crippling South African Airways' finances. Management wants to drag this process out by setting up terms of reference and establishing a task team to deal with insourcing. This is unacceptable. We have been signing terms of reference in the past, and management does not honor them. Many of these contracts run on a month-to-month basis, and the profit margins are grossly inflated. Furthermore, Ernst & Young forensic reports outline in detail major contracts which must be urgently revised because of their impact on SAA's balance sheet. They have already done the work for SAA management, and what SAA is proposing will duplicate this process and lengthen it unnecessarily. If this action is taken today, and by this action we mean insourcing, with the urgency that it deserves, this will immediately create funding for the airline. This money is desperately needed in order for it to operate and to pay for wage increases. We have a recent example of this where this has worked. At South African Airways Technical, there was a contract with a company called KWE which had inflated costs. The service was for warehousing, and it cost SAA Technical 22 million per annum. It was immediately cancelled, and now SAAT is saving approximately 11 million per annum as a result of that decision. This was because of pressure from the unions, and this is why we cannot accept the explanation given by SAA management, because this is a long process and it will require a task team with terms of reference. We demand decisive action because we simply cannot afford for these contracts to continue. They are literally bleeding SAA dry every day. These include contracts such as aircraft cleaning, ground handling, security maintenance, baggage handling, passenger aid services and ramp, busing, document verification and crew transport airside. The names of the companies which are problematic in this regard are Bid Air Services, Swissport, Sapo Setu, Rishebile, Murena, Asda, Mehlo Mahle, Checkport and others. We do not believe that our demands are unreasonable. Much has been said in the media that labor is SAA's biggest cost driver. This is not true. Labor is not SAA's biggest cost driver. SAA's biggest cost driver is the 25 billion per annum spend on procurement, in particular fuel. Management has said that the retrenchment of 944 workers will save the airline 700 million. But this airline executive management and board has consistently refused to tackle these issues, which have a direct bearing on the high debt levels affecting the airline. This also has a direct impact on workers' ability to receive an increase. Management is willing to lose 50 million a day by cancelling flights in anticipation of the strike, instead of redirecting that money to the wage demand. If SAA was to meet the wage demand of 8% from workers, this would cost the airline approximately 100 million per annum. In other words, the cost of 2 days flight cancellation is equivalent to our entire wage demand for the whole year, which is far less than the daily cost of cancelling flights. It is therefore senseless that management will choose an option which deliberately deepens the financial crisis at the airline. The board and executive management has demonstrated once again through this offer that they are defending corruption. It is tolerating thieves and the looting of the airline. The options which we have placed on the table as unions can swiftly remedy SAA's financial crisis. Management should take these steps if they are genuine about saving the airline and making it profitable once again. As we continue to prepare for the strike tomorrow, we are hopeful that we will receive positive feedback from management on the issues which we have raised above. Ultimately, our goal is to save SAA and its subsidiaries and to save jobs and ensure that the airline is profitable again. We cannot afford to allow this status quo to continue. This statement was issued on behalf of SACA and NUMSA. Any questions?
How long do you plan on going on strike?
The strike is an indefinite strike until management gives in to our demands.
So if it takes a month, 2 months, we'll go on strike?
It's an indefinite strike until our members say enough.
And do you know what time you'll be starting tomorrow?
We're starting at 4 a.m. tomorrow morning. So in other words, the first shift is at 4 a.m. And on that 4 a.m. shift, members will not rock up.
So is it going to be a picket as well, or is it just a stay away, a strike basically?
We will be picketing. In fact, I think comrades can give details.
We'll be picketing right here, this exact spot, tomorrow at 4 a.m.
So I just want to understand, is there no way you can meet each other in the middle? Because SAA seems to not be moving from their position. You seem to also not be moving position, so there's a deadlock. Workers go on strike, no work, no pay. SAA loses billions and billions, which could jeopardize the airline, as they say.
I think it's important that as members of the media and members of the public, you must understand that our demands are not just for a wage increase. We don't want to be back here 4 years from now. You mustn't forget that in 2015, we were told that SAA is in a crisis, 1,000 workers must be retrenched. They retrenched those 1,000 workers. They did nothing about the procurement spend, which is actually the thing that's responsible for the financial crisis facing SAA. Now, our demands are speaking directly to the problem affecting SAA. And we are saying that if the management of this airline is genuine about dealing with its financial crisis, then it will accept what we're putting on the table. It will deal with this question of insourcing, and it will do so immediately, without any delays, without any task teams, because we are at the point where we cannot wait anymore. We're at a crisis situation. We are concerned that even at this point, this management still wants to play games and talk about task teams when there's no time for task teams, when there's no money. We are saying that for this to work, management must accept once and for all that it has to deal with its procurement spend. It must take the necessary decision to either cancel or review contracts which are having a very detrimental impact on its balance sheet. SAA says it makes 50 million a day. Where does that money go to? It goes to this wasteful expenditure. Workers are facing job losses again because this management has failed to deal with this very, very crucial issue.
Sorry, I just have one question. The SAA board at Scopa in Parliament yesterday said that this strike could cost SAA up to 50 million rand a day, which SAA cannot afford to lose because this is going to directly impact the workers. What do you guys have to say about that? Because you are planning on striking, so.
Our question is, can SAA continue to afford to pay 25 billion in procurement spend? That's our response to that. And we are saying that our demand speaks directly to the thing that's actually driving costs at SAA. I don't know if you'd like to add a Salka.
And we must make this very clear. It's going to cost 50 million a day. However, they are willing to redirect that money to cancelling flights. 50 million, as we've just articulated, 50 million a day, 2 days equals to what they would have paid us for a year. If that's not ridiculous, I don't know what is. And I think management is taking us for a ride, and the employees can see that. So we are going out on strike tomorrow, for definite. 4 a.m. in the morning. We are available the entire evening to talk further. What we've read to you, we've given to management, and we are serious. We're not backing down. And it's shocking that people like the board, the minister has not even engaged us, and we must say this. It clearly indicates that they're not interested in saving this airline. We've been at pains for many, many years to root out corruption, to sort out procurement issues, and this is the time. There's no other time but now for us.
And I think it's also important that you guys must understand something here. It is absolutely unacceptable that we are still having this conversation when in 2015 we had this conversation. Why should workers lose jobs for the failures of executive management? We are currently living in a country with an economy that is not growing, with unemployment at 38.5% for those who've given up work. How dare this government even allow SAA management to consider retrenchments as an option? Secondly, if this was taking place at any corporate company where a board in a period of less than 5 years has brought a company to the brink of collapse, what would happen to the board? They'd be fired immediately. Why is this board still there? Our question to Scopa is, why are you not doing your work? Why are you not firing the board? This has been a consistent demand from trade unions, that this board has failed, and it continues to fail. And as far as we're concerned, it is only interested in protecting corruptors, thieves and looters, which is why their solution does not actually speak to the problems affecting the airline.
My final question, just one. Tito Mboweni has indicated a few times now that he wants to get rid of SAA. He's been saying he hasn't been making money since 2011, too many bailouts. We just understand why a government needs a national carrier. Aren't you scared that this might, I'm not saying only you mentioned that side too, that this might be?
All right, we're going to leave that right there. And of course, if you are just joining us, it's our breaking news story. Unions have not reached any agreement with SAA. That means they will be downing tools at 4 a.m. tomorrow. And that, of course, also means that all SAA flights, both locally and internationally, will not happen on Friday and Saturday.